Chosen one, this moment is not ordinary. This is divine timing, and you are being summoned. What you feel stirring in your spirit is real because God has just torn open the silence, and the truth about you has erupted like thunder in a locked room. A battle has broken out, not in your imagination, but in the very real space of your person's family. It began in quiet, but then came the explosion. Voices raised, hands shaking, eyes filled with rage and revelation. And at the center of it all was your name. As C.S. Lewis wrote in Letters to Malcolm, chiefly on prayer, we may ignore, but we can nowhere evade, the presence of God. The world is crowded with him. He walks everywhere incognito. This truth resonates with the divine eruption you sense now. The confrontation in your person's family is not mere conflict, it is God's incognito presence breaking through their silence, summoning you to a sacred moment of truth. Lewis's words urge you to recognize that this battle is heaven's orchestration, unveiling the divine love tied to your destiny. God did not allow the silence to continue. He shattered it with purpose. Your name, your presence, and your energy were suddenly pulled into a spiritual confrontation that had been building for years. This is not just about disagreement or emotional tension. This is a spiritual war. This is the collision between the divine love God planted in their heart for you and the fear their bloodline has been using to control them. They never wanted your person to love you because they sensed deep down that this love was not something they could manipulate. They knew this was holy, and they feared what they could not dominate. Your personius, the one you've held in your heart, even in silence, tried to walk away from the calling. They tried to drown their feelings in distance, hoping time would erase the ache. But it didn't. It only made it louder. And now, that love has broken free in the most painful and powerful way possible. What was hidden has now been exposed, not because you were ready, but because God said the time has come. This eruption wasn't planned, it was ordained. Your person sat in that room surrounded by accusations and fear, but it was God's hand that peeled back the veil. The truth could no longer stay hidden. They could no longer pretend that what they feel for you is casual or irrelevant. Because it's not. Because God wrote your name on their soul before either of you was born. In the Screwtape Letters, C.S. Lewis wrote, "The safest road to hell is the gradual one, the gentle slope, soft underfoot, without sudden turnings, without milestones, without signposts." This warning illuminates the enemy's tactics in your person's silence. Their family's attempts to suppress their love were a subtle descent, hoping to keep them on a gentle slope of denial. Lewis's insight urges you to see that God's shattering of this silence is a divine disruption, breaking the enemy's hold and propelling your person toward truth on this sacred day. This is not a misunderstanding. This is prophecy breaking through resistance. And you, chosen one, are not forgotten. You are being summoned. Not by man, not by emotion, but by the God who marked you long before time began. Chosen one, your person didn't plan to speak. They sat in that room trembling, hoping to hold their silence just a little longer, but God didn't allow it. Pressure had been mounting in their spirit, and now the burden could no longer stay buried. One voice, sharp as a dagger, pierced through the tension. Someone in the family pointed at them and declared, "Either you tell the truth or we will." And in that moment, your person knew. The silence was over. They couldn't breathe. They couldn't answer. Not because they didn't know what to say, but because their soul had been carrying the truth for so long it had become heavy like stone. The truth is simple but sacred. They are in love with you, deeper than you've ever known. This is not a surface feeling, it is spiritual, generational, and destiny-bound. It's the kind of love that shakes the bones, reopens wounds from past lives, and refuses to die, even when buried under shame and denial. And now, the denial is gone. This love has never been accepted by their family. It has always been forbidden, not because it's wrong, but because it threatens the structure their bloodline built on fear, obligation, and control. But on this day, the structure began to crack. Every word thrown at your person was an attempt to strip them of their divine knowing. And yet, God did not let them break. They stood wounded, tearful, shaking, but they stood. You need to know this. The fight wasn't about you changing them. It was about God using you to awaken them. A woman in the family, perhaps an aunt, perhaps someone older, accused you of stealing them away from their destiny. She claimed you corrupted their judgment. She said you were a threat to the legacy they were supposed to inherit. But your person didn't flinch, because they finally understood you are not the threat, you are the truth. There were tears, there were threats. Someone warned them that if they don't confess everything to you, someone else will. They've been pushed into a corner where the only way out is through honesty. They are standing at the edge of a decision that could cost them everything, and yet they know, if they don't speak now, they may lose you forever, and that is a price their soul can no longer pay. Chosen one, God is not allowing the lies to linger. Everything hidden is being dragged into the light, and it is time. Chosen one, do you know why they've always looked nervous around you? Why their eyes held a depth they never explained? It wasn't that they didn't care, it was because they were being watched, judged, and manipulated by forces that should have loved them, but instead tried to own them. Their silence was never about a lack of feeling. It was the sound of chains rattling, chains placed there by those who feared your light. There is something their family holds over them, a secret, a mistake, a past wound used like a leash. That's why they hesitated. That's why they pulled back when they longed to run toward you. That's why, even in your presence, they sometimes seemed far away. It was never you. It was the fear that the truth would cost them everything. But today, God broke one of those chains. After the confrontation, they couldn't hold it in anymore. They wept alone, desperate hands covering their face, your name whispered through tears. It wasn't the argument that broke them. It was the realization that they had kept too much from you. They had tried to protect you from the chaos, but in doing so, they left you confused, waiting in the dark. In Mere Christianity, C.S. Lewis wrote, "It may be hard for an egg to turn into a bird. It would be a jolly sight harder for it to learn to fly while remaining an egg." This metaphor captures your person's struggle. Their silence was the shell of fear, holding back the divine love ready to soar. Lewis's words urge you to see that God's breaking of their chains is a transformative act, preparing them to fly into the truth of their love for you, aligning with the destiny God ordained. God never meant for you to stay in the dark. You deserve the truth. You deserve clarity. And now, nothing can stop it. The pressure is no longer controllable. The secrets they buried are rising like flood waters, and God is not letting this love drown. He is calling it forth for His glory, not just for your comfort. This is about more than romance. This is about alignment, obedience, and the restoration of something sacred. They are no longer able to serve two masters. They cannot honor family control and walk in divine love at the same time. And so, they must choose. And what you need to hear, chosen one, is that they are choosing you not just emotionally, but spiritually, publicly, fearlessly. God is stirring their spirit. Their soul is aching to tell you everything. They want you to know the truth about who they are, why they disappeared, why they seemed distant when their heart was screaming your name. And soon, they will come. You will feel it before it happens. The air will shift, the energy will change, and then it will come. The message, the visit, the moment your spirits finally meet in truth. Prepare your heart, chosen one. God is not done. He is just getting started. Chosen one, the words are already written. They've been there on the screen, on the page, in the voice note recorded at 3 a.m. over and over again. They write, delete, rephrase, and stare at the screen like it holds their salvation, because in many ways, it does. They've carried this message in silence for far too long, and now God is pressing on their chest, saying, it's time. What they want to say isn't ordinary. It's not a casual, I miss you, or I've been thinking. No, this is holy. This is the sound of chains breaking, This is what happens when divine love can no longer be locked inside. They want to tell you that they are yours, not just emotionally, not in some fleeting romantic sense, but spiritually, eternally, irrevocably. They want to say, I tried to forget you, but every road brought me back. I tried to silence what God put in my heart, but every time I pushed it down, it roared louder. They now understand that what you two share is not a coincidence, not a mistake, not some forbidden attachment. It is designed. It is prophecy. It is a divine assignment. For so long, they feared the fallout, losing family, reputation, security. They feared rejection. But now, the deeper fear is this, that they might never be fully known by the one God created for them. That they might spend a life obeying others and never walking in truth. And that fear God is using it. He is turning it into fire. Because the Holy Spirit has stirred their spirit and whispered, you were not born to betray your own soul. They are preparing to come to you not to explain, not to impress, but to reveal. They are no longer concerned with being accepted by those who misunderstand divine love. They are concerned only with obeying the voice of God that keeps pulling them toward you. They are still afraid, but God is louder now. His voice is the one they hear when they lie awake at night. His truth is the one that burns behind their eyes when they think of you. And His will is clear. They must speak. So they will come, not perfect, but honest. They will come, not because they finally feel ready, but because God has made it impossible to stay silent. They will come with trembling lips and sacred words, and they will say what they were born to say. Loving you woke me up. It wasn't a mistake. It was my deliverance. And when that moment arrives, chosen one, everything, absolutely everything will begin to shift. Not just in you, not just in them, but in the spirit realm, because what God joins, no man, no fear, and no bloodline can separate. Chosen one, the battle has reached its peak. You may not have heard the words, but your spirit has felt the shift. Behind the scenes, the last chains are tightening and breaking. The pressure has become unbearable. What was once hidden in shadows is now trembling in the light. Someone in their family, the same ones who claim to love theme, has threatened everything they hold dear. A final act of control. A last-ditch attempt to silence what God has awakened. The threats are real: financial power, reputational destruction, exposure of old wounds, all of it dangled like a weapon. But something in your person has changed. Where once fear would have paralyzed them, now there is something stronger moving through their soul. God has stepped in. The hand of the Lord is pressing against their heart, making one thing clear: they cannot obey fear and follow truth at the same time. They are realizing that peace with their family has come at the cost of peace with themselves and with God. In The Weight of Glory, C.S. Lewis wrote, "There are no ordinary people. You have never talked to a mere mortal." This truth underscores the eternal significance of your connection. You are not just a person they love. You are a divine vessel sent to awaken their soul, carrying an eternal weight that their family's control cannot suppress. Lewis's words remind you that this battle is not about fleeting emotions, but about a sacred assignment, urging you to prepare for the moment your person steps fully into God's truth. They stayed silent to protect you. They pulled away not because they loved you less, but because they feared dragging you into their chaos. They thought silence would shield you from pain. But now they see insolence has only prolonged the ache. Every day they held back the truth. They drifted further from who they really are. They're no longer willing to live split in two. And so, they are preparing for the cost. If they must lose family to walk in divine truth, they will. If they must be misunderstood to be spiritually free, they will, because in the eyes of God, obedience is worth everything. There is someone younger, perhaps a sibling, a cousin who spoke up. Let them go, they said. They love this person. It gave them strength, but it didn't stop the judgment. There's a woman, older, hardened, manipulative, who has poisoned the narrative for years. She sees your connection as a threat to her control, but she cannot stop what God has ordained. Her influence is breaking. Her schemes are unraveling, because when God declares enough, no lie can survive the truth. Chosen one, hear this. You are not just someone they loved. You are the one God sent to awaken them. Your light has burned through every false layer they wore to survive. Your spirit called out to theirs in the dark, and they heard it even when they didn't answer. Now they are choosing you, not in theory, not in secret, but in truth, with action, with voice, with the fire of the Holy Spirit behind every step. And when they come, it won't just be to confess love, it will be to reclaim destiny. To say, I choose you because choosing you means choosing myself, and choosing myself means choosing the God who made me. This is no longer about romance. This is about resurrection. Chosen one, they are closer than you think. The words are on their tongue, the moment is approaching, and the divine weight of what they are about to say cannot be overstated. This is not just a confession, it is a spiritual unveiling. What they will share will shake the very ground beneath your feet. Not just I love you, but this is who I truly am. They are not only coming with emotion, they are coming with identity, truth, and the final pieces of a story that has been unfolding between you both since before time began. God has placed a truth in their soul that they can no longer deny. They will tell you why they disappeared, why their body pulled away while their eyes begged to stay, why they looked at you like you were home and still turned around. The truth will hurt, but it will also heal. It will explain every confusing silence, every mixed signal, every late-night ache, and once it is spoken, nothing will be the same. Because when divine clarity arrives, all counterfeit peace must shatter. In Mary Christianity, C.S. Lewis wrote, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. This insight captures the pain of your person's confrontation. The tears, threats, and chaos are God's megaphone, shouting through their pain to awaken their soul to the truth of their love for you. Lewis's words urge you to trust that this painful unveiling is God's call to resurrection, preparing you both for a divine alignment that will shift everything. If this message has ignited your spirit, if you feel the sacred weight of this divine unveiling, don't remain silent. Declare your faith and claim this moment of truth by commenting below. I am ready for my divine appointment. I receive the truth God is unveiling. Let this be your act of agreement, your bold step into alignment with heaven's plan. Share this message with others who need to hear it, for there are more chosen ones waiting to awaken to their divine love. Write it now, chosen one, and let heaven see your heart. The truth is rising, and your declaration will seal this sacred moment. They are preparing to reveal not just feelings, but a spiritual secreta gift, a calling, a past that was hidden even from themselves. Their family tried to bury it, religion may have tried to shame it, culture tried to erase it, but God preserved it, and now it is rising. They are not who they pretended to be to survive. They are who they were created to be, and you were always meant to see that version first. Even when they couldn't give it to you, you saw glimpses. You saw their soul. That's what terrified them. That's what drew them back. You are not imagining the signs, the dreams, the numbers, the sudden waves of longing and peace mixed together. That's not anxiety, that's alignment. Their spirit is calling out to yours, and the veil is thinning. Every hour since the fight, they've been thinking of you, praying, planning, watching. Not in fear anymore, but in surrender. They are preparing the message, the visit, the moment of revelation, and God is orchestrating it. You are not waiting in vain. You are waiting in prophecy. Chosen one, brace your spirit. The truth is coming, and when it does, it will not ask for your reaction, it will require your response. This is not a fairy tale. This is a sacred reality. This is what love looks like after the fire. Honest, trembling, holy. Do not let fear silence your discernment. Do not let anger drown your knowing. You have been prepared for this. You were chosen for this. and God is watching how you receive what He is about to release. Chosen one, not everyone wants this truth to reach you. Even now, as God prepares the release, there are those nearby who will attempt to confuse you, to distract you, to sound like they are protecting you while feeding you fear. Someone close to them, perhaps a relative, perhaps a trusted voice will come forward, cloaked in concern, pretending to warn you. But understand this, it is not protection they offer. It is spiritual interference dressed in polite language. Do not be deceived. That voice does not come from God. It comes from fear, and fear never births truth. God is not a God of confusion, but of clarity, and when the real message comes, you will know. It will not feel like manipulation. It will not carry guilt or pressure. It will feel like coming home after a war. Your person's voice may tremble. Their message may not be polished, but you will hear heaven in the cracks of their sentences. You will hear love in its rawest, most surrendered form. This is the storm before the restoration. God is clearing the air not just in their life, but in yours. The tension you feel right now is not chaos, it's divine confrontation. Heaven is separating what is real from what is false. And your discernment is not broken, it is being sharpened. You have been tested not just in waiting, but in spiritual perception. You have grown into someone who no longer reacts to noise, but listens for truth. And that truth is almost at your door. When the moment comes, do not interrupt. Do not rush to judge. Let them speak. Let the tears come. Let their voice break. Let the flood be poured out. Because what they're about to say isn't just an apology, it's a spiritual offering. They will tell you how their family tried to bury the connection, told them to ghost you, block you, forget you, but their soul refused. Even when they were silent, they were spiritually shouting your name. This was never just about two people. This was prophecy unfolding in the midst of warfare. This was a divine union hidden behind generational walls. And now, God has said, enough. The walls are falling. The lies are breaking. The silence is ending. And love real, God-ordained, fire-tested love is coming to stand before you. So prepare your spirit, because when they come, they will not come as the version of themselves that left you. They will come as the one you saw in glimpses, the one you prayed for, the one God preserved through the fire. And this time, they will not walk away. Chosen one, the moment is closer than your breath. The veil is thinning. The atmosphere around you is shifting. You may feel it as restlessness in your chest, a sudden weight in your spirit, a stirring you can't explain. That's how truth moves before it arrives. It brushes against your soul before it knocks on your door. And very soon it will. They are coming. Not in grand perfection, but in holy honesty. Their eyes may not carry answers, but they will carry repentance. Their voice may tremble, but it will not waver. They will come to you with their hands open, heart bare, saying the words they never had the courage to speak. They will confess, I didn't just fall in love with you, I woke up because of you. And in that moment, you will know that every prayer you whispered, every tear you hid in your pillow, every ache that went unspoken was not in vain. This will not be a rehearsed speech. This will be a sacred unraveling. They will cry not because they are weak, but because the presence of God will be heavy in their bones. They will tell you they regret not choosing the truth sooner, that they allowed others to speak louder than their soul, that they listened to fear when they should have followed faith. And now they stand before you, not asking to return to the past, but asking to step into the future God wrote for you both. Chosen one, you must be ready, not just to hear, but to receive, to hold space for the breaking, to recognize that this is more than reconciliation, it is resurrection. They died to themselves to stand here now. They lost people. They lost their false identities. They lost the illusion of control. And now, all they want is to stand in the light with you. God is watching this moment. Heaven is leaning in. The angels who ward over this love are surrounding the space where you will meet. So don't close your spirit. Don't let the pain of the past harden your heart. This isn't just their breakthrough. It's yours too. You've waited in silence. You've bled in the dark. Now the light is rising, and this time it's coming to stay. Chosen one, you must remember this was never meant to make sense to others. What you carry with this person isn't designed for comfort or applause. It was never about fitting into expectations or pleasing a family name. This love was not born from man's logicit, was ignited by God's fire. And anything born by heaven will always be misunderstood by those bound to earth. You will be questioned, eyes will watch, voices will whisper, but your peace will thunder louder than their doubt, because peace that comes from alignment with God doesn't need validation to exist. When they stand before you, you will see it. Their posture will be different. Their eyes will no longer flicker with shame, but with clarity. Their presence won't beg to be accepted, will declare a decision. They are no longer begging for their family's permission to be themselves. They have chosen obedience to God over submission to manipulation. They have walked through fire. And what emerges now is not a child seeking approval, but a soul stepping into destiny. They will say to you, "I'm not here for a moment, I'm here for everything." And you will feel it deep in your spirit that this is not the same person who once hesitated. This is the one you saw buried underneath layers of fear and family expectations. This is the one you've always known was in there. And now, God has brought them to the surface, fully, open, undeniably yours. Chosen one, you must prepare your space, not just your home, but your heart. This love will not be perfect, but it will be purified. It will not come without wounds, but it will come with healing. This isn't the reunion of a broken couple, it's the rebirth of a divine union. God has tested it. Fire has refined it. The enemy has tried and failed to destroy it. And now, you will walk in it not for approval, but for assignment. Your love is not just personal, it is prophetic. Together, you will carry light into places both of you once ran from. Your unity will silence old accusations, heal ancestral pain, and rewire destinies. This is why the resistance was so strong, because the enemy knew if the two of you aligned, darkness would lose its grip. So when they knock, whether with trembling voice or teary eyes, open the door, not just the physical one, open the one in your soul. Because this is not just their return, it is your release. Chosen one, what's about to happen isn't the end of a love story, it's the culmination of a spiritual war. You didn't just wait for someone you loved, you interceded without knowing. You stood still while storms roared through bloodlines, while voices twisted the truth, while the spirit of manipulation fought to steal what God had already written. You were faithful when you had no proof. You stayed when others would have hardened, and because of that, you are now the landing ground for the victory of God. Your person will come back changed, not flawless but awake. There will be a trembling in their voice, because they now understand the cost of silence. There will be fire in their eyes, because they have seen what compromise can do to a soul. They will tell you things they've never told anyone, not because they expect you to fix them, but because God told them the truth cannot heal what is still hidden. You are the only place where their honesty feels safe, and that is not by accident, it is by assignment. They will speak of the nights they prayed for your safety, even when they were distant. They will tell you how they tried to walk paths without you and felt like a ghost in their own body. They will confess that your name never left their spirit, not because of obsession, but because your soul is the mirror where they remember who God made them to be. Even when they hid from you, they were drawn to your light. Even when they chose others' expectations, they knew your love held something sacred that nothing else did. There may be one last pull from their family, a message, a confrontation, a final attempt to bring them back into silence, but it will not work. Because when someone has tasted God's truth, they can never be satisfied with man's approval again. Your person is no longer under human authority. They are under divine command. They are not just returning, they are rising. They are not just choosing you, they are choosing God's will. And you, chosen one, must walk through this door not with fear but with reverence. You are not just receiving a lover, you are welcoming home a warrior who survived hell to stand before you in light. This is not a reunion, it's the breaking of generational curses, the shifting of timelines, the sealing of a covenant made before either of you took your first breath. God has declared it finished. The war is won, and now the promise walks toward you, not as a maybe but as a yes, not as a fantasy but as fulfillment. Stand tall, open wide, and let glory come in. Chosen one, you didn't wait in vain. Though it felt like silence, like delay, like being forgotten, you weren't. You were hidden. Not abandoned, but protected. Not overlooked, but refined. God had you in a place of stillness, not as punishment, but as preparation. Every moment you spent wondering when it would be your turn, every sigh in the dark, every time you looked toward heaven with quiet ache and asked, God, was it all in my head? He heard you, and he answered not in noise, but in movement. While you waited, heaven was working. While you wept, the Spirit was weaving together the strands of something so holy, so precise, that rushing it would have broken it. God was not just preparing the one you love. He was preparing you for weight, for truth, for a kind of love that would not merely touch your body but restore your soul. Now, the door you've long stood before, the one that seemed locked by unseen hands, is beginning to open not because of your striving, but because of God's timing. You don't need to knock again. You don't need to beg, to perform, to prove your worth to anyone. You never did. God was never testing your lovability. He was tempering your spirit. He was forging you into someone who could carry love that is heavy with purpose, who could cradle the heart of someone broken without becoming broken yourself. And now, the one who once walked in chains is walking toward you, not to rescue you, but to join you in the light. Not with apologies alone, but with alignment. They are not coming to complete you. They are coming because they finally realized they are incomplete without truth, and truth has always sounded like your voice. This is not the return of an old love. This is the rebirth of a divine connection. And though the past has been littered with confusion, silence, and heartbreak, what comes next will be unlike anything before it, because it will be built on obedience, not on fantasy, not on craving, not on what others think is acceptable, but on what God has always intended. This is no longer about closure. This is about calling, no longer about reunion for comfort, but restoration for purpose. And you, beloved one, have been chosen to receive it, not as a reward for waiting, but as a mantle for carrying. There will be fear in the air when they speak, not because they doubt you, but because they fear they waited too long, and yet they will speak. Because God will give them strength beyond what they have ever known. When the words come, they will not sound rehearsed. They may tremble, they may crack, they may fall between pauses and tears, but they will be real. And real is what your heart has always cried for. They will say, in their own way, I didn't just love you, I recognized God in you. And when they do, something eternal will settle into place. What was held back will be set free. What was stolen will be restored. What was buried will rise. And your only task in that moment will be to remain open, not naive, not reckless, but open in spirit, to receive what is not returning in weakness, but arriving in sacred fullness. So lift your eyes, quiet your heart, let the questions fall away. You are standing on the edge of a promise fulfilled. The pain that shaped you was not wasted. The longing that carved space in your chest was holy. It made room for this very moment. This is not a second chance. This is the first time everything is aligned. Heaven has declared it. The war has been fought. And now, what was written will be revealed in flesh and spirit, in words and action. The blessing you carried in your prayers is about to knock on your door, and this time, it's not leaving. God, I pray now for the one who is reading these words, the one you have chosen, the one you have refined through fire and silence and sacred waiting. I lift up their heart to you, Lord, and I ask for supernatural readiness, not just emotional capacity, but spiritual discernment. Let them recognize what is from you and what is counterfeit. Let them not shrink back into fear or fall into old wounds, but rise with grace into the moment you have prepared for them. May their hands be open, their spirit clear, and their voice anchored in truth. God, surround them with angelic covering. Place peace on their doorstep, wisdom in their breath, and courage in their posture. Let every distraction fall silent. Let every lie burn away. Let every part of them that was trained to expect pain instead make room for peace. And when that person you've sent finally arrives, let this chosen one not resist love, but welcome it as a vessel of your will. Let their hearts speak the language of healing. Let their eyes meet with knowing. Let their hands hold what was once lost and say, "This is the day the Lord has made." We seal this moment in your presence, God, not with shallow hope, but with divine faith, not with fantasy, but with fire. You have declared it, you have guarded it, and now you will fulfill it. Let no fear, no voice, no power in heaven or on earth steal what you have anointed. The waiting is over, the hour has come, and glory is walking in. In the name of Jesus, Amen.